The Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and your local cable provider presents Cable Reports. Join us now as Cable Reports brings you up to date on current issues facing the Commonwealth through discussions with your local legislators and other policymakers from across Virginia.
From the General Assembly and the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. And we'd like to connect you today with three members of the General Assembly from Southwest Virginia. Senator Bill Carrico, good to see you, sir.
Thank you for having us, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Senator Phil Puckett, good to see you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Delegate Terry Kilgore, good to see you again.
Oh, great to be with you.
Commerce and Labor Chairman.
Thank you.
Tell us what's happening in Southwest Virginia in terms of the economy, unemployment, and those issues.
Well, we're still suffering a little bit. Our economy is not caught up to where it needs to be. We're losing jobs in some of our counties, but we are, I think all three of us would say that we're working hard every day, 24/7 to create jobs, create the atmosphere for jobs, and to also recruit businesses. I think with some of the legislation that's being considered here with some new tax credits and new monies added to the deal closing fund, I think that's going to help us a lot in Southwest Virginia.
Great. Now, what impact, Senator Puckett, does the closing of the Lee Regional Hospital have on your district?
Well, it's actually outside of my district, but it does have ramifications, I think, for hospitals in my district. We basically have two hospital organizations, Wellmont and Mountain States, and Mountain States has just announced a huge layoff, and that could mean additional issues, and that's one of the reasons that the Medicaid piece is so important to what we're trying to do. And not only does it provide coverage for people, it also brings dollars to our regional hospitals and their rural hospitals that are important. And I know we all have problems with the Affordable Care Act and some of the issues we don't like about it we'd like to see changed, particularly the one, if you have a policy and you like it, you ought to be able to keep it. A lot of people have experienced not only losing that, but they can't afford to buy one that is out there. So it's a huge impact in our area. It makes economic development very difficult. Can you imagine how tough it might be to try to bring in new industry and you have to tell them you don't have a hospital in your county? It's just almost impossible. It's like saying we don't have internet either. So it's a crucial piece for us, and we need to make sure that we get that fixed.
And Senator Carrico, another potential problem in Southwest Virginia is the closing of the Southwest Virginia Regional Training Center.
Right. Yeah, I've been on the Finance Committee for the last year. We've been looking at the training center and the actual ability for individuals to be moved out of that facility into homes across Southwest Virginia that are not capable of taking care of these individuals. And even though Southwest Virginia Training Center is scheduled to close in 2018, we still don't have enough facilities that can facilitate these individuals with the care that they need. And it's hard to imagine what we're going to be able to do if they end up at 2018 closing these facilities and the one in Southwest, when a family in Lee County would have to drive to Norfolk to see their family member. That's a very long drive for them, probably in excess of 12 hours. So what we're trying to do is work with, I have a budget amendment in this year, hopefully to look at a $3 million public-private partnership to look at that facility with some people I've been working with that could take it over, that could keep the families at home and to meet some of the needs that are there. I don't think that all the facilities were scheduled to be closed at the same time for a reason, because they knew there weren't enough agencies out there or homes out there to put the individuals in. And I think now they're seeing more and more that they don't have enough to accommodate Northern Virginia, much less Southwest Virginia. So With the Finance Committee, we've asked them to come to us 6 months in advance of any of these facilities closing and give us an estimate on how many places they have to move these individuals out to, and we're seeing more and more problems as it goes along. And you know, the settlement did not require us to close them, but it asked us to find ways to move them out into the community, and I think that's where we're seeing the problems.
And Delegate Kilgore, these are individuals who have essentially grown up in these facilities, who are now adults, and they have parents who are elderly who need places for their care.
And that's true. I know our office has received calls from Lee Countyans who have children in the home, and they're wondering how they're going to get all the way out to the East Coast to see, you know, as much as they'd like to. It's going to be a big cost factor on the family, and the fact that the child is being moved that far away from them. So I know in the House we're very concerned about this issue, and there's some budget amendments in on the House to address this issue also.
Now, one of the areas that you've been working on along with your colleagues relates to workforce development. Now, obviously that's something to train people to enter employment. So talk to us about the critical nature of workforce development.
Really what we are finding in workforce development is that we've got to have more skilled workers. We've got to step it up a little bit so that we'll be able to provide a skilled workforce, and we've got to have more machinists, more welders, etc. So we have to make those dollars go farther. We have to make more investment, and we also need to set up some advanced manufacturing options for, like the Rolls-Royces of the world, who will be bringing in a lot of suppliers. A lot of those jobs at Southwest we can look to try to put, try to get folks to locate in their area, because if you look at the suppliers for Rolls-Royce, are going to be the same suppliers for the Boeing plant in South Carolina, Charleston, and the Honda plant down in Alabama. So we'd be right in the best place for Southwest Virginia for those parts distributors. But we have a hill ahead of us with the advanced manufacturing, but hopefully in the budget this year, and with the help of the Tobacco Commission, we're going to be able to make great strides in that.
And Senator Puckett, the Tobacco Commission and also the junior colleges play a critical role in workforce development, do they not?
There's no question they do. You've heard, Governor McAuliffe has made a specific commitment to the community colleges across the state. He has visited every one of them. I wished I could say that. I have 5 in my district. That's a lot. But the community colleges are going to play a huge role in that. And I think you're going to see in his higher education piece, along with K through 12, you're going to see additional funds that go to the community colleges for the workforce development and workforce training. So it's going to be very important.
Senator Carrico, I take it it's important to maintain the 2+2 program and the tuition assistance grants that allow those students in our junior colleges to matriculate at our institutions of higher learning.
Absolutely, and for our region, if it wasn't for the community college systems, we probably wouldn't have that many students be able to afford to go on to college and to move from the community college into a 4-year institute. And community college has served well, and the programs that we have in place have served well for our region. And as Senator Puckett has said, we have, he has 5, I have 4, and we overlap on a few of them, but it's really good that we can come together and utilize that system. One of them is going to be 50 years old this year, and Whitfield Community College, and it's really impressive that they've been able to provide education for the students for that long of a period of time.
Great. Delegate Kilgore, what about those students who finish high school and decide they do not want to go to either junior college or one of our institutions of higher learning? Is there a necessity to create more of a vocational technical educational opportunity for them? Absolutely.
We have to address those, and that's something I think where we've been a little bit misguided over the past generation, is that, at a time we thought everybody needed to go to college and everybody should go to college. We pushed everybody toward college, but we really need to make that investment back into the vocational education. I know when most of us graduated, a lot of our friends went to vocational school, went straight out to the manufacturing, got a job. But we have to be able to fit the training to what our manufacturers need. So that's something that we have to work with not only K through 12 but the community colleges to address those needs.
Great. Senator Puckett, I know there's still a little jockeying going on in the state Senate. There is one seat yet to be filled. The recount begins today. Do you have a prognosis on who's going to be controlling the Senate?
I wished I had a crystal ball that could tell us that. You know, Democrats are up by 9 votes now, and been counted twice, but you know, there's always potential for change. You never know, but we should know something before the night's out. And I've said many times, everybody thinks, you know, it's going to be a real big change for all of us. I hope we can be civil about whatever happens on either side of the issue. But one of the things you need to keep in mind, it's hard to, you know, get things done, particularly important things that are really mean a lot to the people of the Commonwealth if you are always at odds with each other. So sooner or later we've got to get things together. Hope we can do that regardless of how the election turns out.
And Senator Carrico, the people's business still goes on in the Senate. I know that you're on a number of committees, including transportation. Talk to us a little bit about some of the transportation needs you see in Southwest Virginia.
Well, we have a lot of needs to complete the Coalfield Expressway, to Route 58 projects that have not been completed over the years that we need to focus on, maintenance of the highways that have been left unmaintained for so long. That's why this transportation package, I think all three of us sitting here supported, I know all three of us sitting here supported, was so big for us is because, you know, in 2017 we were going to lose having any maintenance dollars that are available for our region, which we needed so desperately to have put back. And then all these roads that were on the 6-year plan, the bypasses, the Route 58 project, the Coalfield Expressway, and all the things that we were trying to get done were, you know, falling off the list because we had no money to do them. The biggest thing for us in transportation is protecting that the number of individuals that we have on the Commonwealth Transportation Board currently, because we have a rural area and that rural representative really interjects for us, and having the one for our region there also, and to protect the funding formula that we currently have in place that allows us to be able to fund those highways that we have in Southwest Virginia. And I know every year there's an attempt to try to change that, and it was done this year also. And the other thing was Senator Wagner is always crafty about how he wants to get money, and he even dipped into the gas severance tax, or tried to, with gas-powered vehicles. And, you know, you try to protect all those things that you have in place, because, you know, the reason we have those is because the coal trucks that are hauling the coal, and the gas drilling trucks that are going across those highways do a lot of damage, and that money helps the localities pay to keep those roads up. And hopefully through this transportation session that we have, we just can maintain, and we won't see any more loss of dollars in Southwest.
Another attempt at changing or tweaking the transportation funding bill relates to hybrid vehicles. It looks like that's going to be repealed. There's a little bit of money to be replaced with that. And of course, there's still the concern about whether the Congress will pass a bill which will allow the Commonwealth, among other states, to tax out-of-state internet retailers.
And that's a bigger issue than the hybrid tax. The hybrid tax, I assume we passed out of the House. I think it's already passed the Senate. So, I mean, that looks like that's going to be going to the governor's desk. Now, the big issue is, as you said, is trying to figure out what Congress is going to do as it relates to the internet tax and that and whether they're going to allow that or not, and who knows what's going on in Washington. You know, if anybody's got that crystal ball, let me know. But you know, if that doesn't happen, then it is going to be it's going to be a major blow to the transportation formula, the funding issue, and you know, we'll be back 2 or 3 years trying to address that issue.
Senator Puckett, I know you wanted to talk about Andrew's Law. Tell us what that entails.
Well, you might recall a couple of years ago, Andrew Fox was, who's a state trooper, was killed out at the state fair, directing traffic there one evening, and the issue, I think, had to do with the penalty that the driver incurred later on in what the driver was charged with and how it would have affected the sentencing on that issue. Trooper Fox's family was disappointed that basically a misdemeanor reckless driving charge and small fine and then probation for 12 months. And they came to me and asked about trying to reinforce that law a little bit. When a law enforcement official is killed in the line of duty like that, he was out of his vehicle. There was 4 or 5 police cars sitting there, blue lights running, and all kinds of safety issues that were trying to direct traffic along with the troopers who were out on the pavement. And unfortunately, Trooper Fox was killed in that incident. And so this bill, at the request of his family, and they've been here today to testify and did a wonderful job just relating their story about you know, their son, and his sister was here, and she was very eloquent in how she talked about the need for supporting law enforcement. It also applies to VDOT employees in work zones, life-saving crews, rescue squads, firefighters, and anyone who's out in the public eye and subject to the traffic conditions. So it raises the level of the penalty to a felony and a fine to minimum $2,500, suspends the license for a year, and we think that will certainly not do anything, you know, to bring Andrew Fox back, but it will be a deterrent that will help protect our law enforcement and our rescue squad people, firefighters, those public servants from VDOT who are out there every day in these work zones. And so it's moving on to finance to take a look at the financial impact, and then hopefully to the full Senate. And we also have a bill coming out of the House with Delegate Moorfield that's identical to the one that comes from the Senate. So we hope that will be passed, and it's really sort of a statement to those that follow Andrew Fox, and hopefully it'll make a safer place in the work zones for them.
Good. Senator Carrico, you serve on finance. Your background is in law enforcement, so this is something that's near and dear to your heart as well.
Sure, I have a son out there also, so it does, and I think I listened to testimony in the committee today, Courts Committee. I think that some of the things addressing the bill as far as the reckless nature that has to apply were addressed, and I think that now the bill kind of took on a new form today after much debate, and I think it'll serve the public well. You know, I for one was injured in line of duty, and you know, I understand the ramifications that if an accident happens, you truly have accidents out there, and you know, there's no intent on that person's behalf to hurt you or maim you, and there's a balancing act that you have to adhere to in the public, and but when you have a public safety officer standing out in the highway with reflective vest and lights flashing and warning signs, and someone seemingly just is not paying attention and runs over that individual, there has to be another way to address it, and I think that's what they have done in the committee today, and hopefully we can, you know, better protect those individuals on the highway.
And Delegate Kilgore, those public safety personnel are very important. So are our returning veterans. Do you have a high percentage of returning veterans in Southwest Virginia? And if so, What's being done to encourage them to become entrepreneurs?
Well, we do have a, you know, I wouldn't say as high as some parts of Virginia, but we do have a number of veterans that return to Southwest Virginia and return to work. And, you know, I think over the past few years we have tried to make it easier for our veterans who have served us well overseas to return back to the workplace. And also one thing that I know that the House is looking at is how to help veterans vote when they're over there, how to speed, you know, whether bills before us on electronic voting using their DOD classification, their ID, and so hopefully that'll get passed to where we know that if you're overseas, you are going to be able to participate in democracy. You're over there defending democracy, you ought to be able to participate. But also, you know, looking at trying to make sure that Virginia is a retirement-friendly state for our retirees. A lot of other states are a little bit better than we are, so we're trying to play catch-up there so that we can have some of these retirees come back, because they come back with a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and, you know, whether they, you know, get in the classroom and teach, whether they go into industry, you know, they'd be very helpful to the economy of Southwest Virginia.
What about Senator Puckett encouraging them to take advantage of our institutions of higher learning? I understand that they don't have to meet a residency requirement in terms of tuition.
That's correct, and Terry was very modest. He's very involved in the Gate City National Guard piece down there. We have a lot of those individuals, sometimes husband and wife both, who've been deployed in the last 4 or 5 years, and so we made a tremendous effort to try to help those individuals adjust when they come back. When one spouse is gone and somebody's doing something different they usually don't do in the home, particularly men, we've tried to help in those situations, but the educational piece is a piece that really can help veterans as they come out of the military. One of the things that was done by the previous administration had to do with guys who have a commercial driver's license history, but maybe don't have that commercial driver's license because they've been in service. When they come out, there's no real reason we should force them to go all back through that. These guys have been doing this for 15, 20 years or whatever, so we've made that easier. DMV's worked out a program for that, and it has encouraged a lot of our people to move in. We've had the trucking industry to, you know, help them be placed where their job opportunities. But the educational piece allows, again, for some of that retraining that we've talked about if it's needed, and we'd encourage veterans really to take advantage of that. And the best place to start, if you don't know where to start, is the community college, because they have a program for that. All of the community colleges have access to that, so that's where they need to.
Senator Carrico, what about cutting away some of the red tape at the State Corporation Commission for those who need to become incorporated, some of the other burdensome rules and regulations?
Well, you know, that's always the case with a lot of businesses. We try to do everything we can up here to, you know, take away a lot of the red tape so the businesses can prosper. And another thing about the veterans is Philip, Terry, and we are always sponsoring the community colleges and the business community every year that do an expo to bring the veterans in to tell them what's available and how to go through that process to get a business started or whatever that they are asking to do. So we try everything we can down here to cut the red tape out, but there's always hurdles that they got to cross, and teaching them how to get across those hurdles is what this expo does with the small business groups that are there. And we don't always make it to the expo, but we're always supporters of it to try to get by there to make sure everybody knows what's available to them.
Senator Puckett has had a brief opportunity to talk a little bit about Medicaid expansion, but I take it there may be a different point of view about that, so I want to start with you, Delegate Kilgore.
I'm not saying I'm not for Medicaid expansion. What I am saying is we need to reform Medicaid before we go down that road. And I think we have a package I know coming out of the House, and some things that we need to look at. Maybe co-pays, small co-pays. Maybe try to discourage people from going to the emergency room, because I know, as these guys, both senators know, Medicaid is eating up our general fund to the total of any new dollars about 40%. So if we can make some reforms and get some buy-in on some of the reforms, there may be some opportunities.
And the Medicaid Innovation and Reform Commission has been working on this since at least last year. They're chartered through 2016. Sure. The new governor says, give me the authority to make that case.
Well, I think they've looked at what the Iowa and Arkansas model is, and I think that's a model that we can look at and that we could support. Those of us that don't support the full expansion, not knowing 3 years from now how much that's going to cost the state of Virginia, the way that Arkansas constructed their program of having the small co-pays and having the ability to enroll individuals that need to be enrolled in this program is a way to go, and trying to get the federal government to agree that if Virginia goes in this direction that they'll accept it is probably the biggest hurdle that we've got to cross. But I think at this point in time, they realize each state is now realizing what that cost is going to be 3 years from now, and that they want to be able to be in control of that program if it's put into place. And I believe that we can reach some agreements there. I just don't think the full expansion, there's enough people interested to go that route, and I think the governor needs to look at these two models that Arkansas and I believe it was Iowa that did it, that gave them the latitude to be able to enroll and to reform and to offer it to those that are in most need of it.
I'll let you finish. Senator Puckett, since you started the discussion on Medicaid.
Well, thank you. I support the Medicaid extension. I think there's two really pretty solid reasons to do that. First of all, there's, by any number figure you want to look at least 250,000 Virginians who have no coverage. And these generally are hard-working people. Some of them are our veterans returning that have no coverage, but most of them are husband and wife who are working at minimum wage or better. And if you haven't priced a health care policy for a family lately, it's pretty expensive. And so it would help those people to bring the health care opportunity to their family. I think in the end saves us some money, be real honest, because most of those people being treated at emergency rooms, which is the highest cost that we have. But even more important, as I said earlier, our rural hospitals are in desperate need of being really reimbursed for free health care that they're giving right now. So many of our rural hospitals have indigent care that they're just giving away that nobody pays for, except those of us who are participating in the health care system. It's passed along to us or the government that picks up that end. So we're losing $5 million a day.
You're telling me we're going to have to leave it there. I'm sorry. Good to see you all, Senator Carrico, Puckett, and Delegate Kilgore. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. Until next time, I'm Woody Evans.